First thing first, thank the Most High. You know. Second of all, thank all my day ones, my day twos, and my day threes who support the channel. Third of all, if this video happened to flow past your face and you uh, appreciate the content in the channel, you may have been unsubscribed, so please check the subscribe button, subscribe, resubscribe, and hit all notifications on. For some reason, people are being unsubscribed from the channel. Now, let's talk about my hometown, New Orleans, Louisiana, right? Let's talk about New Orleans, okay? People in New Orleans, I'm going to speak New Orleans language on this one all the way through the video. Hit the like button as you come in, okay? I'm going to speak New Orleans language. In New Orleans, you know, we call it Mardi Gras, you know, call it Fat Tuesday, you know. It's a once-in-a-year event. It's the day before Ash Wednesday. See, a lot of people in New Orleans don't grow up being taught that that's the day before Ash Wednesday. You know, they're not taught that. People outside of New Orleans is taught these things. I'm about to tell you guys, but people within New Orleans is not taught these things. When you're raised in New Orleans, certain cultures of New Orleans, you don't learn it. They don't teach you the culture of New Orleans in school. Okay? And New Orleans have a really deep rooted culture, but they don't teach it in school. And you can't blame the parents because the parents are only taught what they're taught. You see? So hit the like button if you're in here. So let's get into it. Mardi Gras is one of the most wicked, sinister days on the planet. And you don't think that if you're in New Orleans, that whole entire season is a wicked season. Why? Every day you have women degrading themselves for beads, raising up their shirts, some pulling down their pants. You got guys, everybody drunk, nobody in their right state of their mind. Even blackface is allowed the day of Mardi Gras, and that parade is called a Zulu parade. You know, blackface is allowed because it's a day called Do What You Wanna. And people in New Orleans know what I'm talking about. It's a day that's called Do What You Wanna, meaning that for that day, right, long as you ain't committing no murder or robbery or anything like that, anything minor, you know, you won't be arrested for it. That's the name of the day. The actual name of the day is Do What You Wanna. And let's get into the deep part of it. New Orleans and Brazil are two cultures that actually celebrate the Indians of back in the day. And they make costumes. And me being in New Orleans, I never really thought of it this way I'm about to say it. Hit the like button if you're in here. I never thought of it the way I'm about to say it. The like button is free. People, they make their own costumes and everything else, right? Literally by hand. And they take from one year to the next year to actually make costumes honoring the Indians. Now, I never ever seen the so-called native Indians that they call Indians actually dress like the old Indians, or even take time out to dedicate days, right, to pay tribute to the historical Indians the way Brazil and New Orleans do. Now, it's a reason behind that. A there's a reason behind that. And most people don't know it was a battle that took place in New Orleans, in the Claiborne area. And I'm not going to go too deep into that battle, but it was a battle with true Indians in New Orleans where they was helping runaway slaves, right, to be free. Okay. Now, when you look at the history of New Orleans and you look at that day, anything goes. Everybody is drunk. If you go to a 4 or 5 block radius, Canal Street is a street that it all take place on. Canal Street and Arlene Street. Arlene Street is the street where the Zulu parade come down. Canal Street, St. Charles Street, those are the streets where all the parades come down in the city of New Orleans for the most part. Now, if you are visiting New Orleans and you take a 4 block radius, north, east, south, or west off of those strips, you will be an endangered species because New Orleans have been in the uh, highest crime statistic for the last 20, 30 years, and being number one in the murder capital rate multiple times. And these are the things that they don't tell people. And it's because it's a 24-hour liquor city where people pretty much be drunk all the time. And when I say drunk all the time, meaning that you might go out to a club Friday. The clubs don't close till 5, 6 o'clock in the morning. You hang out all that. Then you might take your couple of nap and get up at 12 o'clock. Well, you haven't had the opportunity to flush all that alcohol out your system, right? Then you might wake up at 12 o'clock that afternoon, eat, move around a little bit. Then you might start back drinking at 8, 9 o'clock to go to the club again Saturday. And it's a cycle that's nonstop that people does that. And so the alcohol never leaves the system. So people become humbuggish and upset with their living conditions, right? And then when they become upset with their living conditions, it turns into a situation where people become very hostile and on the edge about any minor thing, right? And this is why New Orleans crime is so high, because it's a city literally of people struggling, trying to impress one another, keeping up with the Joneses. And this is all by it's just all by design. It's a city that makes so much money hosting Sugar Bowls, hosting Mardi Gras, hosting Bayou Classic, hosting Essence Festival. But none of this money goes back into the city, right? None of this money goes back into the citizens of the city. None of it. New Orleans is the most popular city in the state of Louisiana, right? The state of Louisiana. Baton Rouge just became popular because of the music scenery, some of the rappers. But New Orleans has always been the most popular city in the state of Louisiana. New Orleans have had in the last 30 years, the number one, number two record labels in the world, with No Limit Records and Cash Money Records. But yet still poverty is still to this day truly, absolutely horrible. Salute, Jane. Horrible. And this is why, it's areas right now, and Hurricane Katrina was 17, 18 years ago. It's areas right now that still look like the hurricane just happened yesterday in New Orleans. And the city gets a lot of money. It makes lots of money. Because once again, as I said, it hosts the Bayou Classic. It hosts the Bayou Classic. It hosts Mardi Gras. It hosts the Sugar Bowl. And every 4 or 5 years, it hosts the Super Bowl. And they have an NBA team. They have an NFL team, right? And so the city make plenty of money, but they just don't invest it back into the people in the city. They don't invest it back. It's about, the jobs are about who you know. You have to be family orientated with somebody for a job down there that actually pays you a decent salary, and this is how New Orleans is. And the people of New Orleans is actually what make the city. They're very mannerism, and they're very welcoming and open. And that's what make the city. But it's designed and it's structured for just tourism. Outside of a hotel job, and outside of if you're lucky to get on a construction site job, there aren't no jobs. There aren't any jobs. And you got 2 casinos, and right, that's to keep, like I said, that's to take the money back that you just earned. And when you look at the history of Mardi Gras, when all of the big floats, leave with all of the masks and things of that nature, represent darkness, when all of that leave, the people in New Orleans is still struggling. They're still struggling. Still struggling. And you would think that with all the money that come through the city, that it wouldn't be like that. Cash Money Records brought to you, they created Drake, the world's biggest artist right now. Lil Wayne, Master P, from No Limit. These guys made billions and billions of dollars for major record labels, but yet their city's still bleeding. And the city is number 5 or number 4 in the nation for tourism. You got Las Vegas, you got New York, you got Hollywood, and New Orleans. Then New Orleans ain't too far behind. But yet the city still bleed. And I thought I'd get on here and share the history of Mardi Gras and bring some of New Orleans stories to you guys. And salute to everybody out there who rock with the channel. And I'm 504. That's the area code of New Orleans. And cut, because I used to be in the project cuts. That's where I grew up at. Low income communities, low income housing. 504 cut. I'm out.